Hello there, and welcome to this edition of You and the Law. On You and the Law, what I do is to add law to the news, discuss law in the breaking news, and to also discuss issues of law surrounding everyday living. I'm a legal practitioner, and I'm always delighted to discuss law with you. In this edition of You and the Law, I am discussing the legal issues surrounding the collapse of the 21-story building in Lagos State, Nigeria. As you all know, law has regulated virtually everything in society. And so the collapse of the Lagos building is not an exception. It is something that has given rise to a couple of issues of law. And I'm discussing all that as much as time can permit in this very edition of You and the Law. Let me start by saying that I pray that the souls of the persons that have lost their lives will find repose in the bosom of their Creator. I also pray that the families of the persons that have lost their lives will also have consolation in their Creator. Now to the issues of law. Are there issues of law surrounding the collapse of the Lagos building? This is the question that a lot of people are obviously asking. As I proceed to answer this question and address other issues, let's play a little clip of a survivor of that mishap. Let's just hear briefly from him to give us an idea of the number of persons that may have been present in that building when it caved in.
The people that are working there,
Yes.
more than 100 people. More than 100 people.
And how many of you were able to escape?
Oh, they have more workers.
Okay.
But me and my brother, we escaped. But the more people are there.
Okay, so you've heard it clearly from that gentleman. I thank God he survived. And from what he's saying, it is really scary about the number of persons that would be confirmed to have lost their lives at the end of the lifting of the blocks and everything when the rescue effort is completed and the site handed over to government. It's obvious that more than the 32 bodies that have been recovered so far will certainly be recovered. And this makes it very scary. This makes it very unacceptable that such number of people will be made to lose their lives in one fell swoop. Now to the issues of law. When you look at the surrounding circumstances in this matter, you look at the fact that we understand that 15-story building was approved, and yet 21-story building was built. You ask the question, what was the foundation? Was the foundation that of 15-story building, and yet the weight on top of the 15-story building was that of 21-story building? So when you look at that, you also look at the fact that we've seen a letter circulating on social media written by someone who was consulted to do one or two things as an expert in that project. And the expert appears to have discussed with the developer of the project and appears not to have had the ears of the developer and decided to pull out. So you see the story in that very letter. And you also look at the surrounding circumstances. One thing stands out significantly in law, that is negligence. That's the most significant thing that stands out in this story, negligence. Negligence on the part of who? The key players in that project. Now, when you discuss negligence here, you discuss it from the angle of the developer of the property and also the angle of the government agency whose responsibility it was to supervise that project. Now, what's the meaning of negligence? Negligence means failing to do what is ordinarily expected of you. What the law expects you to do in an ordinary given situation, you fail to do it. Your action or inaction can give rise to injury, to damages to people, and you will be said to be negligent in what you did, in your conduct. Now, the failure on the part of the government agency to follow up with the approval and ensure that nothing was built to exceed the approved number of story, it exposes the government agency to a clear case of negligence. Now, if you approve for 15 and the developer goes ahead to develop 21 and you don't do anything about it, you just keep quiet, then the government agency is liable in negligence. The developer that was given the approval to build a 15-story building, but who went ahead to build 21-story building, was in law not careful enough to have seen the danger of building a 21-story building on top of a foundation that was laid for 15-story building. So that person will be also held liable in negligence. Now, how do you handle negligence in a court of law? There are two ways to go about it. You can take up the civil angle, which is the tort of negligence, or you take up the criminal angle, which is crime, okay, crime of negligence. Now, under the tort of negligence, you take someone through the civil route in a court of law, and the end product of it will be the payment of damages if someone is found culpable. But under the criminal angle of it, and the civil aspect of it can be taken up by anybody, any family member, anybody who lost a family member in that unfortunate incident can take up a civil action in the tort of negligence for payment of compensation or damages to his family. That action can be taken against the company that developed the property. The action can also be taken against the Lagos State government for its negligent conduct. Now, the other angle is the criminal aspect of negligence. The criminal aspect of negligence is to be addressed by the Attorney General of Lagos State. And in doing so, he will be charging anybody that is found to have been culpable in what led to the negligence that resulted in the death of people. So the Attorney General will arraign that person in a court of law and then charge him for criminal negligence or for manslaughter, that is involuntary killing of many people. And if the person is found guilty in the court of law by the Lagos State Criminal Code law, particularly section 222 of that law, there is a punishment for anybody that is found culpable of the crime of negligence. If nobody has died, the person goes in for 2 years imprisonment. But if someone has died, the punishment for the person whose conduct has caused the death of this person or persons in this case, would be life imprisonment. Okay, so you've seen clearly there that the law does not accept any negligent conduct that leads to the loss of lives, that leads to that causes injury to human persons in society. There is something called the duty of care, and that duty of care simply means that the person who is developing a property of that magnitude owes everybody living around the property and also owes everybody working for him in that property a duty of care. That duty means that I guarantee that throughout your working here, you are not going to be injured. Throughout your working here, no life is going to be lost. Throughout your working here, what I am doing is not going to collapse on anybody. You owe the person working for you that duty of care. And so when you fail in that duty of care, there are consequences. When you fail, and that failure has led to the death of people, has led to the injury of people, then certainly there are consequences. Now, before I end this very video, it appears that the gentleman that developed that property, I understand he has, his body has also been found among the 32 that have so far been recovered from the debris of that building. It appears that this gentleman had a bit of issue with sticking to approval or listening to the authorities or sticking to what he himself used his hand to apply for. Now, why am I saying so? In a video, in an interview that he granted sometime in August 2021, that is roughly 2 months before the collapse of this building in Lagos, he made mention of something. He said that while he was developing a property in an area in London, he applied for 2-story building. and the approval was mistakenly given for 3-story building, and that he went ahead to construct a 3-story building. That the neighbors, the people that lived in that neighborhood reported him and said that the neighborhood is for 2-story building and that he should stop the development of the 3-story building. He said that the building authority came, accepted that yes, they made a mistake by giving him approval for 3, but they asked him to stop the building of the 3-story building. He went ahead and completed the building, 3-story building. According to him, he went to the tribunal and then he won. But let's listen to him. You get clearly from him what he said in that interview.
The house, I converted it into 3 flats. And this is very interesting. I applied, there was a big house, I applied for a 2-story extension. The council wanted to write 2-story. They made a mistake. They wrote 3-story. So when we started developing it, some neighbors went to report. You know when you have a 2-story in London, you can't do a 3-story. A 2-story must go all the way. So they went to report me to the council, and the council came and said they made a mistake. They agreed that they made a mistake. So I should not do the 3-story. Anyway, I went up and did the 3-story. Then we went for a committee. At the committee, I won. So that's how we did the 3-story.
So what's the problem? What's this proclivity for wanting to do something in addition to what you yourself applied for? What's this proclivity for, just wanting to build on top of something and so on? The one in London is still there till today. Nobody has died. The building has not collapsed. But the one in Nigeria, building 21-story building, when you were given approval for 15, has collapsed and has led to the loss of many lives. It is my prayer that Nigeria becomes that country where human lives are treated with seriousness. I pray that the persons that have lost their lives will find repose in the bosom of their Creator. I also pray that this kind of unfortunate incident does not happen anymore in Nigeria, my country. Note also that Lagos State government is the principal of the agency of government that was expected by law to supervise that project. When there is a disclosed principal in law, you can go after the principal. You don't even need to go after the agent. And so, when a case is filed in a court of law and properly presented to the court, to show that the agency, the agent of the Lagos State government, failed to live up to its responsibility, then damages is awarded in favor of any family that takes up this challenge to the court. Lagos State government cannot claim to be exonerated from the blame. It will be difficult for Lagos State government to stand aloof and say, no, we were not the developer. So, if damages is pronounced against the conduct of the agency of government that ought to have done the supervision, then the damages can rightly be borne by the principal of that agency, in this case, the Lagos State government. And damages for human lives should certainly be in huge sums of money. You cannot really pay money to be enough for human life. But money should be given to assuage the loss of these people as much as possible. And the government, which is the principal of the agency that failed to do what it ought to have done, Lagos State government can rightly be held accountable in law for the action or inaction of its agency, which has resulted in the death of many people. Thank you very much for watching this very episode of You and the Law. I do hope you have learned one or two things from it. And I encourage you to subscribe to the channel so that from time to time we can send you notifications on every new video that is loaded to this channel. My name is Ekeminidim. I'm a legal practitioner. I am the host of this channel, and I'm always glad to discuss issues of law with you surrounding happenings in society and surrounding everyday living. Thank you very much and do remain blessed.